Well, hey, good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through this week. Hope you guys are enjoying your time at home once again. So I just wanted to kind of continue what we've been doing over those last couple of days since we've been out, and I want you to continue to work in your journal. So yesterday we had a video about Anne Frank. I kind of gave you a little background on her and how she kind of kept a journal as well. I know Anne Frank was hiding from the Nazis, as we talked about in yesterday's video, and we're not exactly hiding from the Nazis these days. We're hiding from a virus. But we are kind of trapped in our homes. And this girl, Anne Frank, was the same age as you guys right now. Most of you, anyway. She was 13 years old, and she was keeping her diary. She didn't think she was anything special. But her diary was kept because it kind of kept an idea of what she was going through. And the reason why I've wanted you to keep a journal, as again we've talked about these last couple of days, is that we're going through some historical times. People are going to talk about this. When they think back on the 2020s, this is what's going to come to mind in all the history books years from now. Your kids, your grandkids will learn about what you're going through right now. So I want you guys to keep an idea of what was going on in your world. Everybody's story is different. And everybody's going to have a different experience through all of this. So I want you to kind of keep a personal history. You don't have to share it with me, but I want to make sure that you're at least doing it. And I want to give you some motivation from probably one of the greatest diaries and journals ever, coming from Anne Frank. So if you didn't see yesterday's video, go back through your email and find it. And I'll try to link that video down below to check it out. Maybe I'll even link it to the end of this as well. But Anne Frank was kind of, she's your typical 13-year-old girl. She just celebrated her birthday, and she was telling us about everything that she got for her birthday. And then the next day, she was talking about all of her friends in school. And man, Anne was throwing some shade, y'all. She didn't like a whole lot of people, especially boys. So go check out yesterday's video to read up on that and follow along with me. And I want you to do the same today as well. I want you to follow along with me while I read from Anne's diary. Follow along the best you can, guys. And I just want to give you some motivation to once again be writing in this journal. Now, tomorrow, I plan on giving you guys some extra help in math. If you haven't checked all of your emails, I would really recommend going to check the email that I sent to you last Friday. That was March 20th. So go check that out. I had a couple of games in there that I think you guys will really enjoy. So go check that out. All right, so let's read a couple more passages from Anne Frank's diary to give you guys a little motivation as to what I want you to do. So this is what she wrote on Saturday, June 20th, 1942. So writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me, not only because I've never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on, neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. If Anne only knew how famous she would become because of this journal, right? You guys probably feel the same way. Who cares about what I'm going through? Anne felt the same way, and look what she did. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off of my chest. So again, guys, don't think of this as an assignment. Don't think of it as homework. Think of it as a chance for you to kind of vent, to get everything that's happening in the world off of your chest. And that was what Anne was using this journal for when she was in hiding. Let's keep reading. Paper has more patience than people. It's a very, very important quote. I thought of this saying on one of these days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, which is what I do a lot around here right now. Can you relate? Wondering whether to stay in or go out. I finally stayed where I was brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff-backed notebook grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should never ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a difference. If she only knew, right guys? Now, I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. I can tell you, I'm pretty lonely here too, guys. I have my wife and kid, but I sure do miss you guys and seeing my family and friends as well. Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I'm not. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a throng of admirers who can't keep their adoring eyes off of me and who sometimes have to resort to using a broken pocket mirror to try and catch a glimpse of me in the classroom. Let's go back to this word real quick. I'm going to highlight it right here. This is the word throng. Now, no, I'm not talking about the underwear. Get your minds out of the gutter. This is where it is called throng. Now, what do you think throng means if we're using context clues here? I have a throng of admirers who can't keep their adoring eyes off of me. Do you think Anne maybe has no admirers? Or do you think maybe she has a lot of admirers? I would say she probably has a lot of admirers if you use context clues. Because if she's pretending like she has nobody caring, then why would she worry about people looking at her in the mirror? So she thinks that she's got a lot of people who are looking at her as she's going through the secret annex. So let's keep reading. We are right here. You see where my mouse cursor is? We're right here. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary, everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they're not liable to change. This is why I've started the diary. Right here, in this paragraph right here, guys. To enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty. So right there, guys, she just named her diary. So you can kind of pretend like you're writing to an invisible person, perhaps. Make up an alter ego, some different name, some friend in your head that you want to express everything to, because who can you trust more than your own mind and thoughts to yourself? So think of a good name. Maybe you want to call this journal to like you're writing a letter to a friend or an email or a text. You can even, if you want to, use text logo. You can use LOL in your diary. They didn't have LOL back in the 40s, but you know, you can do that today because we do have that here in the 20s. Let's keep reading, guys. So let's see here. Right here is where we're at. Follow along. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her life and her family right here. My father, the most adorable father I've ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt am Main in Germany in 1926. I was born on June 12th, 1929. So if Anne were still alive right now, she would be 90 years old. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. Because we're Jewish, my father immigrated to Holland in 1933 when he became the managing director of the Dutch Upketa company, which manufactures products used in making jam. So her dad pretty much made stuff that helped make jelly for your biscuits. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. Now, why do you think one by one, they didn't all go at the same time? Why do you think that they only went one person at a time to Holland during this time in history? Now remember, Adolf Hitler, they're living in Germany. Frankfurt is in the country of Germany. Adolf Hitler is the ruler, and the Nazis are taking over, and they are trying to eliminate the Jewish population. So Anne Frank's family was targeted by the Nazis. And so here's the reason why they had to go one by one, guys. If you think about it, it's safer to go one by one, because what happens if 4 or 5 people who are obviously running from the Nazis are all together? It's going to be looking a little bit more suspicious, and it's going to be a lot harder to hide when you got 4 or 5 people trying to leave at once. So one by one, little by little, to keep anybody from suspecting, the Franks moved from Germany to Holland to keep everybody safe. And so Anne comes to Holland on Margot's birthday. Well, that's a great birthday present. So let's look right here. I started right away. We are right here, guys, by the way. Follow along. I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started first grade. In 6th grade, my teacher was Miss Cooperis, the principal. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell because I'd been accepted at the Jewish Lyceum, where Margot also went to school. Our lives were not without anxiety since our relatives in Germany were suffering under Hitler's anti-Jewish laws. After the pogroms in 1938, my 2 uncles, my mother's brothers, fled Germany, finding safe refuge in North America. So Anne Frank's uncles came right here to the United States. My elderly grandmother came to live with us. She was 73 years old at the time. Right here in this paragraph now. After 1940, the good times were few and far between. First there was the war, then the capitulation, and then the arrival of the Germans, which is when the trouble started for the Jews. Our freedom was severely restricted by a series of anti-Jewish decrees. What do you think a decree is? Let's look at this word right here. An anti-Jewish decree. I think you guys have had this word in your vocabulary at some point this year. So the word decree, if you're using context clues here, if they are being prohibited, their freedoms are being restricted, which means that they are being held back. They don't have as much freedom as everybody else. So when they release a decree, it's kind of like a law. It's an order saying that Jewish people can't do this. So that's what happens here. We're right here. Follow along. Jews were required to wear a yellow star. So they had to wear a yellow star. If they weren't wearing that yellow star, they could get in a lot of trouble. Jews were required to turn in their bicycles. So why do you think they took their bikes? So they can't run. Jews were forbidden to use streetcars. Jews were forbidden to ride in cars, even their own. And Jews were required to do their shopping between 3 and 5 p.m. Jews were required to frequent only Jewish-owned barbershops and beauty parlors. Jews were forbidden to be out on the streets between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Jews were forbidden, we're right here, follow along, I'm pointing like you can see, we're right here, follow along on my mouse cursor. Jews were forbidden to attend theaters, movies, or any other forms of entertainment. Sounds pretty familiar to what we're going through right now, guys. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm trying to compare the anti-religion thing here, but we're not able to do a lot of the things that we've been able to do in the past. So how does that make you feel? There's a difference, Hitler and the anti-Jewish decrees were aimed at hate, and with hate in their hearts. This is more protection. So let's not compare the two, but we can contrast the two. But there are some comparisons we can do as well. So keep that in mind while we're reading this today. So Jews were forbidden to use swimming pools, tennis courts, hockey fields, or any other athletic fields. Jews were forbidden to go rowing. Jews were forbidden to take part in any athletic activity in public. Jews were forbidden to sit in their gardens or those of their friends after 8 p.m. Jews were forbidden to visit Christians in their home. Jews were required to attend Jewish schools and etc. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, but life went on. Jacques always said to me, I don't dare do anything anymore because I'm afraid it's not allowed. So let's keep reading, guys. As you can tell, they're not, they're kind of not being taken care of here. Right here. In the summer of 1941, Grandma got sick and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. In the summer of 1940, we didn't do much for my birthday either, since the fighting had just ended in Holland. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the others, and Grandma's candle was long lit with the rest. The 4 of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of June 20th, 1942, and the solemn dedication of my diary. All right, guys, so I want you to... As you can hear my son in the background, kind of wanting my attention there, but he's not used to not having me at this time of night because I am recording this the night before. So I want you guys to think right there. about what Anne wrote about. She kind of wrote about her family history, how she got to this point right now. So what was going on before all this happened and now where we are today in your life? You know, how about your family? Maybe there's some things that you want to write about, some things that you're proud of, maybe some things that you need to get off of your chest. Keep this safe and to yourselves, guys. But this is a great opportunity for you to have a chance to get it all out and write your own personal history. So I do hope you take this, guys. I hope you take it very seriously. So that's going to be the end of this video. I am going to do an attempt to link yesterday's video to this one at the end of this video as well. So if you didn't look at yesterday's video, go check it out so you can get some more motivation and inspiration for this journal that I'm asking you to keep. Guys, I'm telling you, don't worry about spelling. Just make sure you understand what you're writing, okay? Guys, take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Stay healthy. I miss you guys so much. I really hope to get to see you guys. You know, they did cancel school up until April 24th, as according to the governor of Tennessee. So I hope sometime after the 24th, I get to see you guys in class again. So take care of yourselves, and if you need anything, please feel free to email me. Take a look at the email. I have posted my phone number. So if you need anything read to you, or if you need just somebody to talk to, you can call me anytime between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. Don't call me on spring break. I won't answer. Or you can text me, and I will try to get in touch with you as well. So, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.